Welcome the Lord's chosen. The universe doesn't whisper to the loud, it speaks to the ready. You didn't stumble here by accident. Energy doesn't do coincidences. Somewhere between your breakdowns, your glow-ups, and your quiet disappearances, something in you clicked. Scientists say your body renews its cells every 7 years. But what they don't mention is how your spirit occasionally demands a full renovation too. That's what's happening right now. You're not losing your mind. You're shedding your limits. You've been through enough storms to realize some of them weren't meant to drown you, but to baptize you into your higher timeline. And let's be honest, you can feel it. The peace hits different. The silence feels expensive. The way you're no longer explaining yourself. Elite behavior. This isn't a glow-up of looks. It's a glow-up of law. Universal law. You're stepping into alignment so boldly that the old version of you probably needs an appointment just to reach your vibration. This is your ascension, your spiritual boss era, where even your calm feels loud enough to make noise in the unseen. So sit tight, because if you found this, it's not random. It's confirmation that your next chapter isn't waiting for permission. It's already happening. Number 1, you're remembering power, not learning it. There's a massive difference between discovering something new and waking up to what's always been inside you. What's happening now isn't education. It's remembrance. The world taught you to forget who you were, to downplay your instincts, to shrink your fire so you could fit into places that weren't even designed for your kind of light. Every time life broke you, it wasn't just pain. It was a coded reminder that there was more to you than you were letting yourself believe. That's why you've been feeling a strange familiarity with your own strength lately. It's not arrogance, it's memory. Since childhood, you were conditioned to trade intuition for instruction, to trust what others told you over what your soul already knew. But your awakening is reversing that. You're starting to trust your gut again, realizing that your energy always knew the truth before your mind could catch up. You're no longer reaching for power like it's something outside of you. You're realizing it's been sitting quietly under your doubt, waiting for you to stop outsourcing your worth. That's the real ascension. When you stop begging the universe for strength and start remembering you've always been part of its design, every decision that once drained you now feels different because it's guided by recognition, not reaction. You're not trying to impress anyone or prove that you've evolved, you simply know. The noise around you is still the same, but it no longer pulls you off center because you finally see how temporary it all is. You're remembering that your peace is power, your discernment is protection, and your presence alone is influence. You don't need to announce it. Energy announces for you. This stage of your ascension feels unfamiliar because power in its raw form isn't loud. It's steady. It doesn't need applause. It creates silence. You're no longer chasing enlightenment as a destination. You're living it, breath by breath, moment by moment. What you used to pray for, you're now walking in. You've outgrown the illusion that power is something to earn. You're embodying the truth that it's something you reclaim by remembering you were never without it. Number 2, the universe isn't rewarding you. It's responding to you. What's unfolding in your life right now isn't luck or divine favoritism. It's reflection. Energy mirrors back whatever frequency you're consistently vibrating in. For the longest time, you thought nothing was working because you were trying to manifest from exhaustion and doubt. But now, your internal world has shifted, and the external one has no choice but to rearrange itself around that new reality. That's how universal law works. It doesn't pick favorites, it picks frequencies. Every time you chose peace over panic, gratitude over lack, and discipline over distraction, you were quietly rewriting the code of your energy field. You stopped begging the universe to notice you and started embodying the vibration of someone who already belongs to what they desire. That's the shift that changes everything. It's not about asking harder. It's about aligning deeper. And now, the things you once chased are beginning to find you naturally, because the chase was never necessary. The moment you became a match to the energy you wanted, it had to show up. It's law. People around you may think you suddenly got lucky, but you know better. You stopped trying to control timing and outcomes. You let your energy speak louder than your anxiety. You learned that manifestation isn't about repeating affirmations until the universe gives in. It's about embodying a state that makes your desires undeniable. When you healed your energy, the delays broke. When you stopped doubting, the opportunities appeared. Nothing outside you actually changed first. You did. The universe isn't some distant force handing out blessings at random. It's a mirror responding to the energy you emit. Every word, thought, and belief is a signal you send out, and it always answers back with precision. That's why alignment feels so effortless now. You don't need to hustle for what's meant for you because your vibration is doing the work. You're learning that the real manifestation hack is authenticity, living so in tune with your truth that everything false simply falls away. The universe isn't rewarding your struggle. It's finally responding to your becoming. Number 3, your isolation was initiation. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. Life pulled you away from everything familiar, not because you were unworthy, but because you were being recalibrated. You needed the silence. You needed the distance. You needed to be stripped of the noise long enough to hear your own frequency again. Most people fear being alone because they mistake stillness for emptiness. But for chosen ones, isolation is where the real construction happens. That quiet season that broke your routine wasn't punishment. It was preparation. During that time, you were forced to face truths about yourself you could never see while surrounded by distractions. You started questioning everything: your motives, your circle, your purpose. You stopped chasing comfort and began craving clarity. You began to see how much of your life was built on what you thought you should be instead of what you truly are. That's when the shift began. Not when you gained more, but when you finally sat with less. The people who disappeared weren't stolen from you. They were released because they couldn't breathe in your new atmosphere. The loneliness hurt, but it wasn't empty. It was sacred. You were shedding identities that no longer fit. You were unlearning survival habits disguised as personality traits. You were finding your rhythm again without needing background noise to drown out your doubt. The version of you that needed constant validation couldn't survive in that quiet, and that was the point. That silence became your teacher, and the lessons came with no applause. Now you can feel how that isolation changed you. You no longer crave company, you crave alignment. You no longer chase connections, you attract resonance. You've become comfortable with the space between what you left behind and what's coming next, because you understand that purpose grows best in privacy. The ones who mistook your withdrawal for weakness will eventually realize they were watching your initiation. You weren't being hidden because you were broken. You were being protected because you were building. Your isolation didn't end you. It crowned you. You walked in as a version of yourself the world knew, but you're walking out as the version your destiny has been waiting for. Number 4, you outgrew the version of you that needed their validation. There was a time when you built your worth around reactions, the compliments, the attention, the approval. You measured your value through other people's eyes, hoping their acceptance could fill the space where your own belief should have lived. But that version of you no longer exists. Somewhere along the line you realized that being liked was never the same as being aligned. You stopped performing, stopped proving, and started simply being. That shift didn't just change how you moved, it changed what your energy attracted. People began to sense it. The ones who were used to you explaining yourself, defending your decisions, and seeking reassurance suddenly couldn't access you the same way. Your silence made them uncomfortable because they were addicted to the version of you that needed their permission to feel whole. But you're no longer playing in that frequency. You've learned that peace is louder than validation, and that authenticity has a power applause can't buy. When you stopped needing to be understood, something remarkable happened. Your aura took the lead. You no longer had to convince anyone of your worth. Your presence started doing it for you. You began to notice that the same people who once overlooked you now feel uneasy in your energy. That's not arrogance, that's evolution. Your confidence stopped asking for directions, and your spirit stopped requesting entry where it was always meant to stand tall. You've come to understand that validation is a transaction, but self-acceptance is liberation. You're not chasing the crowd anymore because you finally realized the crowd was never the destination. It was the distraction. You don't shrink to fit their comfort zones. You expand to match your calling. That's why some people can't read your energy now. It's written in a language they haven't learned yet. You're operating from a space that doesn't need proof, permission, or praise. You've reclaimed your identity from every opinion that once defined you. This isn't arrogance, it's arrival. You outgrew the need to be seen because you finally recognized the truth. Your light was never meant to be validated. It was meant to be witnessed. Number 5, you're not chasing purpose, you're becoming it. There's a huge difference between searching for meaning and realizing that you are the meaning. For so long, you thought your purpose was a distant goal, something to find, achieve, or earn after enough effort. But now you're seeing the truth. Purpose isn't a finish line. It's an essence that reveals itself the moment you start living in alignment with who you really are. You're not running toward destiny anymore. You're breathing it into every move you make, every decision, every boundary, every no that protects your peace is part of that embodiment. You've stopped trying to figure out why you're here and started being the reason. The universe doesn't hand out assignments to special people. It awakens the special in people willing to listen. And that's what's happened to you. You started listening, not to the noise outside, but to the voice inside that always knew where you were meant to go. That voice isn't pushing you anymore, and it's merging with you. Purpose used to feel heavy, like pressure. Now it feels like flow. You've realized that chasing something higher while ignoring your inner truth only keeps you running in circles. You no longer need to prove your significance by doing more. You've discovered that your presence itself changes the energy in any space you enter. That's the power of someone who has stopped searching and started embodying. You move differently. You speak differently. Even your silence carries instruction. The world tells you to find your calling, but your spirit knows you are the calling. You were never meant to spend your life trying to locate a purpose that's already written in your frequency. Every time you act from authenticity, you live that purpose louder. Every time you choose alignment over approval, you expand it further. You've become a living reminder that destiny isn't something waiting at the end of the path. It's the energy that fuels every step. You're no longer running after meaning, you're walking as it. You are the message, the movement, and the miracle, all unfolding in real time. Purpose isn't what you do anymore, it's what you are. Number 6, the old timeline is collapsing because you refuse to pretend. You stopped forcing yourself to fit into versions of reality that required you to dim your truth, and now everything that was built on that false foundation is falling apart. It's not chaos, it's correction. What once felt stable is breaking down because it was never real to begin with. The job, the relationships, the routines, the labels, They all depended on you, pretending to be smaller, quieter, or more agreeable than your soul could handle. The moment you chose authenticity over approval, the cracks started to show. You're not losing your old life, you're outgrowing it. The things you once chased now feel heavy because they were connected to an outdated identity. You can feel it, that strange tension between who you were told to be and who you actually are. It's uncomfortable because your energy no longer fits in the containers it used to. You can't go back to pretending that comfort equals peace because you've seen what real alignment feels like, and there's no unseeing it. When truth starts taking over, illusion has no oxygen left. The people who once resonated with you may start falling away, not because they're bad, but because they're still tuned to a frequency you've transcended. The conversations feel forced, the environments feel off, and even the things that once excited you might suddenly drain you. That's the sign. You've moved dimensions internally. The external world is just catching up. You've become too real for anything artificial. That's why certain doors are closing, certain cycles are ending, and certain opportunities are no longer aligning. It's not rejection, it's realignment. The universe is dismantling every structure that can't handle your truth. The timeline built on pretending is collapsing because it can't coexist with a version of you that operates from integrity. This collapse isn't the end, it's the upgrade. It's your energy decluttering everything that can't hold your next level. The world around you might look uncertain, but your soul has never been more sure. You're not watching your life fall apart. You're watching your lies fall away. And what's left standing after the collapse is the life that was always meant for the real you. Number 7. You're learning that not every battle deserves a witness. There was a time when you felt the need to defend yourself, to explain your truth, to make sure everyone saw what really happened. But now, you've evolved past that stage. You've learned that some situations don't deserve your response because giving them your energy only feeds the very thing that's trying to pull you back into chaos. Silence became your weapon, not because you're scared to fight, but because you finally understand that not every war is worth winning. You realized that maturity isn't about clapping back. It's about knowing when your energy is too expensive to spend on nonsense. You used to think staying quiet meant losing, but now you see that silence is power when it comes from clarity. You don't need to prove who you are to anyone who's committed to misunderstanding you. Their confusion isn't your problem anymore. Some people thrive on conflict because it keeps them relevant in a story they can't control. You're done being part of that script. When you stopped reacting, you disrupted their access. Certain energies only survive when you engage. They feed off your frustration, your explanations, your need to be heard. But when you choose peace over performance, their power collapses. They start to realize they were never your competition, only your distraction. That's why your silence rattles them. It exposes how irrelevant they've become to your evolution. You're not walking away because you're weak. You're walking away because you've outgrown the need for noise. You've learned that peace isn't passive, it's protection. You've built a level of emotional intelligence that doesn't need to announce itself. You no longer waste your breath trying to be understood in rooms where truth isn't valued. Your calm now speaks louder than your defense ever could. You don't fight for closure, you create it. You don't argue for recognition, you embody it. You've realized that silence, when used with intention, is the loudest language of self-respect. The ones who mistook your quiet for surrender will eventually understand. You didn't bow out of the battle. You simply stopped showing up to places where your presence was already victory. Number 8, you don't need closure. You need expansion. The days of waiting for people to explain why they hurt you or for situations to make sense are over. You've realized that some stories don't deserve a conclusion because they were never meant to continue. You stopped replaying conversations in your head, stopped hoping someone would finally understand your side, because deep down you already do. You're no longer chasing closure, because your evolution made their perspective too small to hold your truth. You outgrew their version of events the moment you healed beyond it. Closure used to feel necessary because you wanted emotional balance, but now you see it for what it was, a way of asking others for permission to move on. You don't need that anymore. You've learned that peace isn't something they can give. It's something you claim when you stop needing to be understood. You don't need them to acknowledge your pain for it to be valid. You lived it, you felt it, and you learned from it. That's enough. You've entered the phase where your healing no longer asks for explanation. It demands elevation. The same people who broke your heart might never take accountability, and that's okay. You no longer require their awareness to confirm your growth. Some people can't meet you where you've ascended, and that's not personal. It's spiritual logistics. Their chapter in your story ended, and your soul is already writing the sequel. Closure is a finish line. Expansion is flight. You're not walking away bitter, you're walking away bigger. You've learned that real healing doesn't come from hearing, "I'm sorry." It comes from realizing you wouldn't even accept the old version of what you wanted now. The energy you once begged for couldn't survive in the frequency you now embody. You're not chasing closure because there's nothing left to close. The lesson was the ending. The peace you carry now is proof that the pain served its purpose. You're not stuck in what happened anymore. You're unfolding into what's next. Closure is about doors. Expansion is about dimensions. And you've already stepped into the next one. Number 9. You became magnetic to what matches your healing. The version of you that once tolerated chaos no longer exists. You've done too much inner work to keep attracting situations that drain you. You stopped confusing intensity with connection, stopped mistaking drama for depth. The energy that used to pull you in now feels heavy, and the people who once mirrored your wounds can no longer find a home in your frequency. That's how you know your healing is real. Your peace started filtering your environment before your mind even noticed. Healing changed your algorithm. You used to be drawn to familiar dysfunction because it matched the unhealed parts of you. But now that those parts are being restored, you're attracting people and experiences that reflect wholeness instead of chaos. You're learning that your energy is the most powerful boundary you'll ever set. You don't have to announce it, explain it, or defend it. Your aura does that work for you. The moment something feels off, you can sense it before words are even exchanged. That's your intuition running quality control. This new season of your life feels quieter, but it's not emptiness. It's precision. You've stopped settling for half-present people and one-sided connections. You're no longer impressed by potential. You're aligned with peace. You understand that anything that costs your inner calm is too expensive, no matter how good it looks on the outside. That's not being cold. That's being conscious. You spent years trying to fix what was breaking you. Now you simply release it. Your energy has become a mirror that exposes everything around you. If it's pure, it flows. If it's fake, it fades. You've entered the phase where your vibration chooses for you. Opportunities, friendships, even random encounters. They're all responding to the frequency you're holding. And because you're rooted in healing, everything unhealed naturally falls away. You no longer chase alignment, you are alignment. That's why peace follows you wherever you go. You've become magnetic not by trying harder, but by being clearer. The universe no longer needs to test you with chaos because you've finally proven you won't choose it. Your healing reprogrammed your energy, and now only what matches your wholeness can reach you. Number 10, you're experiencing loss because your energy is repricing itself. The people, habits, and situations that once felt comfortable are starting to fade, not because you did something wrong, but because your vibration has leveled up. When your frequency shifts, your access code changes. The version of you that tolerated certain energies, entertained certain conversations, and accepted certain treatment no longer exists. You've raised your value, and naturally, not everything or everyone can afford that new energy. It's not rejection, it's recalibration. The universe isn't taking people away from you, it's taking versions of you away from them. You're no longer matching their wavelength, so the connection buffer spins until it disappears completely. That's the spiritual economy at work. Everything exchanges energy, and when your worth inflates through healing, some currencies simply can't keep up. You can feel it when conversations fall flat, when people you once vibed with suddenly feel distant. It's not that they changed. It's that your energy restructured the terms of engagement. Loss during ascension feels confusing because it often looks like abandonment, but it's really adjustment. You can't build a higher reality while dragging expired frequencies along. Some people were only aligned with your unhealed self. They were lessons, not lifetimes. Once you stopped operating from pain, their purpose concluded. And while it hurts, it's also proof that your healing is working. Your peace is becoming too expensive for drama to purchase. You're not cold or detached, you're evolving. You've learned that outgrowing people doesn't mean you despise them. It means you respect yourself enough not to shrink for them. Your new vibration demands reciprocity, maturity, and truth. Anything less automatically phases out. The universe isn't punishing you with loss. It's rewarding you with alignment. Think of it as your energy updating its subscription plan. What once required approval now requires authenticity. What once needed validation now needs depth. You're repricing yourself in real time, and not everyone will adjust. But those who can meet you at this new frequency will arrive naturally, without force or confusion. So don't mourn what's leaving. Celebrate what's making space. The emptiness you feel isn't absence, it's bandwidth. Your energy is clearing room for connections that match your worth, your peace, and your new vibration. Number 11. The people who doubted you are silently taking notes. They may not admit it, but the same ones who once questioned your path are now studying your every move, trying to understand how you did what they swore you couldn't. They used to laugh, whisper, and project their fears onto your vision. Now they scroll through your progress in quiet disbelief, realizing you didn't need their approval to evolve. You just needed their doubt to fuel your clarity. What they once dismissed as delusion is now your demonstration. They thought your silence meant surrender, but it was strategy. While they were talking, you were transforming. You built in private, healed in private, and learned to move without the validation that once anchored you. Now, your growth has become undeniable. You didn't shout your progress, you embodied it. That's what's confusing them. They can't figure out how you managed to glow up without their permission, how you rebuilt yourself without their applause. That's the thing about chosen ones. Your evolution doesn't announce itself, it reveals itself. Now, they watch from a distance, pretending not to notice. But the energy doesn't lie. You can feel their curiosity every time your name comes up, every time your presence shifts the atmosphere. They're observing quietly, trying to dissect your discipline, your peace, your glow. But what they don't realize is that the formula they're searching for isn't something you did. It's something you became. You stopped chasing, started aligning, and that's what made your life start working. There's a strange irony in this chapter. The same people who underestimated you are now inspired by you. Your resilience exposed their doubt as short-sightedness. They're learning the hard way that consistency outlasts commentary. You didn't need to clap back. You let results do the talking. And now your energy teaches a silent masterclass. The loudest revenge isn't success, it's peace. So let them keep watching. Let them analyze, screenshot, and speculate. They can study the steps, but they'll never replicate the soul behind them. What you've built came from alignment, not performance. You turned your lessons into legacy, your pain into blueprint, and your silence into proof. They can take notes all they want, but the page they're copying from was written in your frequency, and that's something they'll never duplicate. Number 12, your manifestations don't require force, just faith in your frequency. You've learned that the universe doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to power, and real power is calm. You used to think manifestation meant pushing, striving, repeating affirmations until something happened. But now you understand that alignment isn't about doing more. It's about being more of yourself. When you finally stopped chasing outcomes and started trusting your energy, things began to flow toward you almost effortlessly. That's not magic. That's resonance. You realize that the vibration you hold is the signal you send. The universe isn't withholding anything from you. It's simply mirroring what you believe you deserve. The moment you stopped doubting and started walking like it was already done, the shift began. You stopped begging for doors to open and started becoming the frequency that made them unlock. That's the quiet confidence that confuses people. You don't hustle for alignment anymore. You calibrate to it. You prepare your energy first, and the material world naturally adjusts. You no longer force situations or chase timelines, because you've seen what happens when you trust divine timing. You know that what's meant for you can't miss you, and what's not meant for you can't hold you. The more you relax into that truth, the faster things manifest. It's the paradox of creation. The less you grip, the more you receive. You stopped needing control because you finally understood that control is the language of fear, while faith is the language of flow. Your manifestations have started showing up not because you begged harder, but because you believed deeper. You're radiating a steadiness that tells the universe, I'm ready because I already am. You no longer visualize from lack, you visualize from ownership. You move with the energy of someone who knows that reality bends for certainty. That's why opportunities are finding you, synchronicities are aligning, and peace feels like your new baseline. You've stepped into the frequency where manifestation isn't a practice, it's a byproduct. You're no longer trying to make things happen, you're letting them happen through you. That's the secret most never learn. Manifestation isn't about chasing your desires, it's about becoming the vibration that makes them inevitable. Number 13, you're being tested with distractions disguised as opportunities. This is the part of your journey where everything starts looking shiny. New connections, sudden offers, exciting invitations. But not everything that glitters is alignment. The universe is checking to see if you've truly learned the difference between elevation and temptation. Some doors are wide open not to bless you, but to see if you'll still walk into noise just because it looks like motion. You're no longer in the season where every opportunity deserves a yes. You're in the season where discernment is your real success. You've grown enough to understand that not all progress is forward. Some paths circle you right back into old patterns dressed in new packaging. The ego loves activity because it feels like achievement, but your spirit knows better. Peace has a quieter pulse. That's why certain things that once excited you now feel off, even when they look perfect on paper. Your intuition has gotten sharper, and you can sense when something's trying to pull you out of alignment by flattering your ambition. These distractions often appear when you're closest to a breakthrough. That's how energy works. When your frequency rises, everything that can't match it tries to reattach through convenience or validation. You'll notice people reaching out with promises, shortcuts, or instant gratification. But what used to tempt you no longer holds the same power, because you've learned to recognize the difference between opportunity and obligation. You no longer confuse being busy with being purposeful. The real test isn't whether you can say yes. It's whether you're brave enough to say no to what doesn't feed your evolution. Some doors lead to visibility, but not growth. Some connections bring attention, but not alignment. You've realized that a smaller path walked in truth is worth more than a wider road paved in performance. Choosing depth over display means you're finally leading from your spirit, not your ego. You don't need to prove your momentum to anyone anymore. You know that what's meant for you won't require you to betray your peace to claim it. So when distractions show up wearing the mask of opportunity, smile, pause, and remember. Discernment is the new definition of progress. Number 14. You're no longer waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel. You became it. The version of you that searched, that hoped, that prayed for guidance has been replaced by someone who carries illumination in their presence. You don't look for answers outside yourself anymore because the answers pulse through every fiber of your being. Your awakening didn't just change your perspective, it flipped the entire script. You're no longer a seeker, you're a beacon. The energy you hold now reaches farther than words ever could. Wherever you stand, the atmosphere shifts. Darkness hesitates around you, not because you're forcing it to leave, but because your vibration leaves no room for it to linger. People notice, even if they can't explain it. Your calm, your clarity, your quiet power are disruptive, in the most natural way. You don't need to announce your presence. Your energy speaks volumes. Shadows retreat when confronted by someone who radiates alignment so fully that the universe seems to respond before the mind even comprehends what's happening. This transformation is more than confidence. It's a recalibration of everything around you. You used to follow paths, wait for signs, and seek guidance. Now the guidance comes through you. Doors open because you walk with certainty. Conversations shift because your frequency demands authenticity, and people who once led you astray find themselves unable to keep up. Your light doesn't compete, it simply exists, and in doing so, it transforms everything in its radius. You've stopped looking for the end of the tunnel because you've become the illumination that guides your own path. The world may still be chaotic, uncertain, and heavy, but your energy acts as a stabilizer. You no longer ask for clarity or direction, you provide it. Darkness doesn't stand a chance because you don't fight it. You outshine it effortlessly. You've entered a state where presence itself is power. Your awakening isn't just personal, it's catalytic. Every step you take, every word you speak, every moment you inhabit shifts the space around you. You are the living proof that light isn't something to find at the end of the journey. It's something you embody so fully that the journey itself bends to your frequency. Everything you've experienced, every struggle, every quiet moment of doubt, every victory no one noticed, has led you here, to the point where your energy no longer waits for validation, approval, or understanding. You've remembered power that was always yours, aligned with frequencies that match your evolution, and recalibrated your life to honor the truth of who you are. You've learned that silence can be strategy, that loss is a natural consequence of growth, and that your aura now filters everything that cannot hold your vibration. The old timelines, the old selves, the old expectations, all of them are falling away because you refuse to pretend, and in their place, a stronger, wiser, and more magnetic version of you has emerged. You're no longer chasing purpose, waiting for signs, or asking the world to hand you permission. You've become purpose. Your manifestations flow because you embody the frequency that attracts them. Your decisions are guided by depth over display, clarity over noise, and peace over approval. You are living proof that evolution doesn't require recognition. It requires alignment, courage, and the willingness to move beyond what no longer serves you. What you've built, what you've healed, and who you've become cannot be duplicated, mimicked, or contained by anyone else. Your energy has rewritten the rules, not just for yourself, but for everyone who witnesses your ascension. This is your era. You're the light, the frequency, and the blueprint of a life that refuses compromise. The universe isn't responding to your efforts anymore. It's responding to your embodiment. Every step you take now, every boundary you set, every moment you choose authenticity over convenience, is proof that you are no longer moving through the world as a participant. You are moving as a leader, a force, a living revolution. You've transcended noise, outgrown distraction, and become a presence that elevates everything around it without even trying. If this message resonates, if you feel that undeniable pull that tells you this is your moment, then make sure you don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the channel to stay connected to the energy that fuels your ascension. Like this video to lock in the frequency of growth. Share it with those who need to remember their own power, and comment below. Let the universe know that you're awake, aligned, and ready to embody everything you were born to be. This isn't just content, it's a call to action for the chosen, the awakened, and the unstoppable. Your era is now. Step into it fully. Stay blessed always.